Hello. This is This is Dr. Jason Munsell. It is about you can't really see me, can you? Oh yeah, you can. Probably the less you see, the better. It is about 4:30, actually Thursday, September 15th. Schlotzsky's is open. And we got new Schlotzsky's here in Casey, just down there. I wanted to say just a little bit more about Chapter 2. I enjoyed our class that we had the other day, Tuesday evening in Breed, to sort of hammer out and think about the relationship between the political ideologies linked to liberalism and conservatism, and some of Trump's and some of Clinton's various stances and the linking up. I did put a PowerPoint up that I actually didn't use the other day. I think something was screwed up, and this is still screwed up. There's a new uploading system that's wonky, and if you want to ever go on Amazon, there is a paper doll stuff by Tim Foley that you can buy of Trump and Clinton. Look at Trump here. He's a worker. What does he have in his, does it say Texas or Texas? I don't know. Clinton has an apron and hot sauce. It says something hot stuff. Jeez. So we talked about ideology. That's just bad. Political ideology. Again, political ideology. We got these groups of people that are their own sort of structure of society that see the world in a particular way. So liberals and conservatives tend to see the world a different way, but the ideology is liberalism and conservatism. Even though, again, everything is sort of problematic. We can never say this is set exactly how it is. Liberals always think this way, conservatives always think this way. And of course, as I did with the Plato stuff, everything sort of molds and moves and mutates, as you have read in Chapter 2. And I did talk about how it's all, I didn't talk a whole lot about this, but it is really important that you remember that ideology is something that we learn. We're taught through our families, through our churches, through our schools, whatever, how to see the world, our belief system. And oftentimes when that happens, we have the product, not the product, that's the wrong term. This is a product. Please drink Dasani purified water, enhanced with minerals for pure, fresh taste. Delightful. And also, cross promotion. Your war, your way. I actually asked if I could have a cup that did not promote violence. Join 60 million summoners and play free now on your phone or tablet. I don't even know what the hell this is, but I have my delicious iced tea. My tea, my way. No sweet. Yeah, that stuff's nasty. But hegemony is when certain ideologies are privileged over others, and that privileging happens through the process of communication. And we all know that there are certain ideologies, certain beliefs that are belief systems that are privileged over other belief systems in our society, and that is some of the stuff about USA, because there are certain things like individualism, certain religious perspectives, certain economic perspectives that obviously are privileged. Free market is privileged over socialism, right? So that's why socialism becomes sort of a dirty word. Christianity is privileged over pretty much everything, and that is why sometimes folks are just terribly racist and think, ooh, look at that person, they have brown skin, they must be terrorists, Muslim terrorists. That's horrible. But in any case, it's horrible when people think that way. But so we have to be careful about all that type of stuff, but all of this is just try to help you think again about ideology, and remember we talked about the freedom from and the freedom through. The freedom from liberals or liberalism tends to have that negative liberty, the idea in a sense that we need to have government help us to beat back what's I guess is sort of natural coercion. So it's only through government rules and regulations, in part, that people are going to be given their rights or their rats. Freedom too is that positive liberty that there's this natural order of things, and freedom, rights are found in that natural order, and if anything, government just gets in the way. So it sort of always depends on the context, obviously, but that's generally the idea. And this was sort of screwed up. This is what the only addition here is that Hahn talks a lot about the mistakes that he thinks liberals and conservatives made as they have moved from sort of their traditional perspectives, and I'll let you read more about that. But one thing that I thought would help you out if you're still sort of struggling with this idea of, okay, this is conservatism, this is liberalism, and also tying that to the first chapter with the ideas of what liberals tend to believe and what conservatives tend to believe, and the little box with economics and personal freedom and blah 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 blah. This stuff comes from a guy, some dude. His last name starts with an H. H is for help. Hirschman. So Hirschman talks in parts, and this is from his brilliant book, Hahn says, The Rhetoric of Reaction, as called the perversity thesis. Okay, this is the first thing. His usefulness, although the conservative arguments seem to concern economics, so a lot of these are just sort of what conservatives tend to believe, but therefore, liberals might think differently. Or again, conservatism and liberalism, if you want to think in terms of not people, but ideology that is separate from people. Perversity thesis, page 23. Basically, this idea is that it holds that any attempt to do something in the realm controlled by natural law, rather than human law, will completely backfire. Rather than helping, it will actually hurt. For instance, an attempt to do something about unemployment, about the unemployed, note that the conservatives believe that capitalism works by natural law, will not only help the unemployed, but will not only not help the unemployed, but will attract more people to the unemployed ranks once they see they can be paid for not working. So it's perverse that government and rules and regulations in the guise of helping actually screw things up, because they're screwing up with the natural law of things. And human law generally screws up natural law if humans are not natural. I don't know, I don't get that, but okay. And then you hopefully get that. So the futility thesis is much like the perversity thesis, a position that argues that any attempt to change will be abortive. That is, in one way or another, any change will turn out to be mostly superficial and cosmetic, while the deep structures of society remain wholly untouched, because I guess the deep structures of society is part of natural law, the way it's always been in lots of different things. The joke here was when, during the 1964 election, some dude said, everybody told me not to vote for Goldwater because we'd get bogged down in the land war in Asia, Vietnam. But he says sadly, I didn't listen. I voted for Goldwater anyway. And sure enough, he says sadly, sure enough, now we're bogged down in a land war in Asia. The point is, of course, is that even if he had changed his vote, it would have made no difference because, Johnson won. We still got bogged down in Asia. So that's a futility thesis, that there is deep structures that just always going to happen. It's not human law, it's natural law. And so any sort of changes are going to be cosmetic anyway. And then jeopardy thesis. It has nothing to do with Alex Trebek. This is the idea that, blah, 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 where are we? The third conservative argument Hirschman identifies as the jeopardy thesis. This is the argument that no new law, regulation, or program should be adopted because it will jeopardize something positive in the status quo. So there's good things, whatever, and any sort of new law is going to screw something up. So no more gun regulations. This is going to screw something up. So Obamacare, you know, it screwed something up, even though millions and millions of people now have health insurance that didn't, but it screwed something up, right? So, and I do think, you can read the stuff on 25, but generally speaking, this might help you to consider, again, the differences between liberalism and conservatism, because if you think in terms of then, therefore, if this is conservative stuff, liberalism might be, okay, it's not, you know, human law is here to make sure that oftentimes natural law, if whatever natural law is, doesn't hurt people, I suppose. People kill people and want meat. So we have to have laws to regulate that type of stuff. So nothing is perverse about trying to keep order. I don't know. And then the futility thesis is the opposite. I mean, we've got to do stuff. The things won't be superficial and cosmetic. Look at 1964 and all everything. I mean, it's if we got to have laws to help people vote. Blah 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 blah. Okay. And Jeopardy thesis is again, more. We need to do more stuff to correct various problems that we have. Good things will come from new laws. Blah blah blah. So again, the first chapter and the second chapter is all sort of the beginning, setting the stage, and trying to understand, generally speaking, the landscape of how people think about things, and often argue about things when we're thinking about issues of argument of principle and consequence. And then I also wanted to try to link all that stuff to some of the things that Trump and Clinton said. And so it's sort of a setup stuff. And so hopefully through these first couple of chapters, if you didn't already know what liberalism and conservatism is, or what liberals and conservatives tend to believe and think about, even though it's all contextual and somewhat problematic, blah, 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 and molds and shapes and moves and mutates, hopefully you have a better understanding of that type of stuff. What I wanted to do, and then Hans skating sort of stuff about how folks have gone astray, and we need to go back in time. Listen to my 80s channel right now. Okay, what I wanted to do, because I'm sort of skipping chapter 3 and then moving on to chapters 4 and then 5, and I'm not going to hopefully take up a lot of your time, but I wanted to offer you a few things from a different book about issues of media, because it's so relevant to everything that we're going to be saying in the future, and it's still relevant to things we've said in the past. So this stuff is not in the book. It is in this book that I used in my persuasion class called Persuasion in the Media Age, and I do have that new PowerPoint on KC for you. It is a delightful little PowerPoint. Extra stuff on media, not really in book. Okay. From Persuasion in the Media Age by Borchers. There you go. That's the book. Your war, your way. This must be some sort of video game. 2016 Hardee's Restaurant. All rights reserved. There, see? Rights. Okay. Y'all know that things have changed in politics and political communication, particularly since the advent of contemporary mass media, and a lot since the 60s. And stuff became more televised, blah, blah, blah. Some of the big pictures here that Borchers talks about is that because of media, candidates tend to take messages straight to the people through television, now through social media, blah, blah, blah. It didn't used to be that way. Party officials and political party leaders used to have a whole lot more power. Not so much anymore. Look at Trump. A lot of the Republican elders and party leaders didn't want Trump. Did Trump win the nomination? Yeah. How? He took it to the people. And the people ate him up. Like a big Trump piece of steak. Trump steak. It's a moo.